Hi, good evening to everybody, and welcome to the panelist. I know it's never easy to have a session which is last in the day, so I know that we are holding you to go back home, but we'll try and make it as exciting as possible. And frankly, AI, automation is the buzzword, and you would have heard on multiple times today and in other sessions, other forums. AI is something that is both a buzzword as well as it's a bit mysterious, mystical. So the attempt that we want to make today is to demystify some of the elements around automation and AI. And we have the panelists here to kind of help us see what are those real world cases that they see and which are helping organizations progress in the areas of automation, right? So I'll start off with Mohan. You are the silver partner, so you get the privilege of having the first question.
Thank you.
So Mohan, according to you, what would be 2 or 3 critical aspects on how organizations are deciding on venturing into AI?
So I think, each organizations are at different stages of their journey with regard to, AI and things of that sort. But fundamentally, when you look at it, there are a couple of things that an organization has to consider when you're looking at deploying AI in the long term. These are fundamental, but these are important areas. One of the things is having a right policy. Okay, when I talk about policy, it means that how are you accessing data? How are you processing data? Where are this data lying? How is it in terms of data security? Because that becomes a very important aspect, in terms of when you're dealing with AI. The second important thing is, gone are the times when 2 humans used to work. Now it will be a human and a machine. So in that case, how do you ensure that both of them work well? There has to be a policy laid down. What happens if the machine gives you some data, which is very logical, fantastically written, and you tend to believe what has been written by the machine? And who takes ownership of that? Especially in the regulatory domain, who takes ownership of that? So you have to build policies around those areas. And government going forward may come up with a lot of, policies or processes or railguards saying that in case of AI, how should the policy really look like, and what are the things that you need to really consider? So is our policy aligned to that regulation? This becomes a very important element. The other elements that you look at is, do you have a right infrastructure? We have legacy systems. We are not going to overhaul or change that immediately. But how are other systems sitting over these legacy systems and ensuring that the data that's churned out is correct? Because you will have multiple data points. And the biggest challenge now with CFOs is that you have so much of data. Sometimes CFOs are unable to take decision because all the data are contradictory and looks correct. So in such cases, infrastructure becomes an important thing. Then you know that the data is valid, the data is correct, etc. The third element is, most important element is the people-related aspect. It is never a technology that makes you successful, but the adapting of those technology becomes important and critical. And when you really look at it, somewhere there is a passive resistance among people. It may not be active, but some passive resistance is that thinking that what will happen to my job at the end of the day. So there is no complete involvement in it. So there has to be small steps that organizations will have to take to encourage people to adapt to the future AI. And the fourth important thing is the right skill sets. When I talk about skill sets, I'm not talking about technical skill sets, but also other skill sets which finance professionals need to develop. For example, if you look at the skill sets in terms of review. So nowadays, the preparation will be taken over by AI and other things, etc. But how are you reviewing your financial? Do you have your technical understanding to know what's inside the black box? Because it is thrown to you and then you accept it blindly. But you should know what are the algorithms that run within those systems. Are they contradictory to each other? So you need to have a different skill sets as we move forward. So I think these are the 4 parameters that you should look at.
Sure. That's a good context setting. Haps, if I was to ask you that in your sector, in your organization, where do you see more significant use of AI or automation? And have you adopted any of those trends or new technology in your business?
Sure. Just for the audience, our business is largely focused on helping retailers adopt IoT and automation in their physical stores. Our vision is that any store or a restaurant ultimately is there to give consumer a great experience, and that should be the primary aim of the people, the store manager, the crew there. Everything else which is around your air conditioning, your lighting, your UPS, that should be taken care of by an AI sitting on the cloud. It should decide when to have an intervention on that equipment, when to replace that equipment, and if that equipment is hinting towards a failure, it should be picked up and a technician should visit and fix it. The store team should not really be under any pressure to log the issue, follow up and all that, because those are wasted minutes better spent on retaining the customers who are out there. So to that extent, what we have done is at various stages. On one side, we automate the store, that your lighting, your entire SOP of the store becomes automated, which again brings efficiencies, especially from the CFO lens of energy savings. It helps you on the sustainability side. Going up, we also help take some fundamental decisions related to the store. So for example, if we find that a certain area around the POS is showing a higher thermal profile, we will trigger alert that open up a second POS station because there's a queue up that is happening there, purely out of thermal data. Similarly, for restaurant operators like Samir, we are looking at the stock that they put in their freezers and chillers. Is it at any risk because that equipment is showing signs of breakdown, and if that breakdown happens at a time when your response is not going to be fast enough, you may end up losing crores of food stuff. So these are some of the real world examples of how we are sort of playing our part in the retail world.
That's interesting. So let me pick it up with Samir. Please.
So let me add what he said, and I think it's not always about the saving. It's always about having the right experience for the consumer. It helps to maintain the temperature. It is not only is about what you say, measuring the temperature, but also controlling when to switch it on, when to switch it off. Also, it helps us to manage a lot of preventive measurements, maintenance, especially so you are not waiting till things go really bad, right? You get alert much in advance. You're able to address it well in advance, and you are able to avoid those situations. So I think, yes, certainly AI technology helps a lot in restaurants, especially the ones the work where Happy is going to, they are providing, I think it's helpful.
And if you want to extend it into the real world examples in finance specifically, have you seen AI adoption or automation in your organization or anywhere else which has helped?
Certainly, I think now finance contributes everywhere, and everything is, the decisions are a lot more database. And most important, certainly what he opened with, where when you adopt AI, what are the three important things? You need to have mature data, you need to have experienced people to understand it. That's really basic things, which everyone is aware and I think have quickly adopted that change. Organizations are now taking, any decisions are taken are well informed with lot of information, and therefore having the technology implemented on various streams. It is not only whether it is a financial database, whether it is a consumer database, what you should give to consumer. AI technology helps you to, so say for example, for revenue, okay, earlier when you see a QSR, you were seeing a counter where people will always go to the counter and they will order something, and there is a cashier who will tell what to eat, what to add, what will go well, what is the best for him. These are the things which a person will talk about. Now there is the various digital touch point for the consumer, right? You see app, you will see self-ordering kiosks, you will see a website, you will see aggregators like Swiggy, Zomatos. So very important to have similar journey there where AI helps to make it more personalized to the consumer. So apart from finance, I think it is more to get the right business. It really helps there.
I mean, just carrying forward, Rahul, maybe similar example on revenue. I mean, do you see in Manyavar, for example, this also being adopted again to benefit your organization?
Namaskar and good evening, everyone. So, in relation to revenue, one of the very key important factor is understanding customer taste and preference. Like India is a complex country wherein the customer taste, preference, and behavior they vary a lot across regions, across cities, across state. Now, AI can play a very important role in understanding the customer taste and preference, fashion trends effectively in a very efficient manner. Like at Vedant Fashion, we are a very tech-driven company. Our entire ERP is fully integrated with retail POS. And that is not today, but the first store when we opened in 2008. Since then, everything is fully integrated to retail POS, which gives us the real insight of what is happening at the store level, which are the products which are doing well, how are the consumers behaving in a particular store. Like in our company, almost all processes which are key are system driven, and all key decisions are also based on data and data analytics. If we start from designing, our designing process is also a combination of art and science. There is one team which is working on creating the art, and there's another team which is constantly working on churning out data, understanding market trends, fashion trends. If we talk about supply chain and procurement planning and production planning, it is all integrated based upon which product is doing well, doing a sales through analysis product wise, and then deciding on what to produce, how much to produce. Coming to our replenishment, it is fully automated. So we have around 650 stores, 650 plus stores across India. And as I mentioned, India is a complex country. So every store behaves very different in terms of customer taste and preference. We have automated a software wherein everything is decided by the system only. There is no manual intervention. So which design, which product, which color, which size, in how much quantity needs to be sent to which store is decided by the system only. There is no manual intervention at all. And why we are able to do that? Because we have 2 decades of data with us, that in which store, which are the products which do very well. So that is the role an AI and automation is playing. They automatically tells us, what needs to be dispatched at which store. Similarly, we have a real insights and real-time visibility on all the store KPIs, like average bill value, average basket size, what are the ASPs, what is cross-selling well, which helps us to take very informed decisions on how we should improve the performance of a particular store. Now, all these aspects are very important to ensure that we design, produce, and sell the relevant products based upon customer taste and preference across all regions, which actually helps us to enhance the revenue generation overall.
Interesting. I just want to carry forward that again, Saurabh, again, dynamic pricing, impact on revenue. I mean, what have you seen around this in automation?
Hello. Yeah, so good evening, everybody. So if we look at, how exactly this is helping in terms of real-time pricing. So all CFOs would, all the finance professionals or the CFOs, they will see that their teams are coming to them and asking questions that, we need to have the right pricing. If we do not have the right pricing, maybe the revenue is not maximized. So I will see that my sales team, my marketing team, category team always coming to me saying, boss, this to maximize the revenue, the pricing has to be right, whether it is right or not. Now, to ensure that, how do we make sure of it? What are the different factors which are impacting it? One is competition, which is impacting it. Second is sometimes the demand is high, sometimes the demand is low. Third thing is the inventory is moving slow sometimes because the demand is low, inventory will get stuck. In our business, in home textiles, we see that there's an inventory of 3 to 4 months, right, which is in the system. And if the demand is low, and we have to prepare in advance, right? So when the next season is being planned, it's like 1 year in advance we are planning it, right? So there is an inventory which can get stuck. Now the aged inventory, how do we move forward and ensure that that aged inventory is moving fast and we are able to generate revenue. So that is where I think this particular thing will work. So we can have dynamic pricing algorithms which are made, and based on that, we can have real-time pricing update. And that is how the revenue maximization can happen. I think that is where this
Sure.
this works. Yeah.
That's nice. Jagan, just moving to you, maybe at an operating level and also in terms of predictive analytics. In terms of budgeting, forecasting, predicting. Have you seen success around AI adoption, in your business or elsewhere?
So we started off first automizing all of our data, where the data was in silos. Getting all of the data together is very important for this. Otherwise, you may miss out on some variables which might not help out eventually in forecasting models. What we've tried to do is create multiple models which run parallelly and try to see which ones are actually working. Now, what we work on in finance function is also for forecasting revenues. Of course, I have to divide it into finance function, operations, and then of course customer engagement, marketing. That's a separate function, and sales. So financial functions, more importantly, is about two things: is forecasting revenues and forecasting your cash flows. Now, in terms of revenues, what we've had success is to understand the repeat ratios using modeling. Now, it may be through generative AI models, or basically we just do simple coding and try to work on models based on retention ratios and all basic KPIs basically that work with customer engagement. We've seen that the trends that are being built using softwares are accurate to around 80 to 90%. Of course, it is a continuous process and we have to keep on adding a lot of variables to that. Being in retail, especially omni-channel, it's a very difficult thing to predict inventory, what is going to work, what is selling, and the seasonality aspect of it. So we have to keep all of the separate models for each factor. We're working simultaneously on all of them and seeing, okay, this is how we've worked in this month. Maybe next month, let's try two different models and see which ones are working and closer to what the actual revenues are. And the more problem is the online part. That's where predictability is difficult. Offline retail, at least you know the retention ratios and the customer engagement is closer. But in terms of online engagement for us, because it's a brand new category, pet retail is something that for us basically getting into it, adding on new customers to the segment is something that we focus a lot on. Sometimes that becomes a bit more difficult in terms of addressing the number of people, the traffic and the conversion ratios.
Interesting. Samir, if I was to move on to you to say that, there's so much of benefit that happens through automation, AI, but is it moving at the pace that it should move? And what is hindering the adoption of all of this in companies? Is it to do about awareness, about the results, or management's, let's say, priorities? So do you see that is enough happening, or there is a lot more potential in this?
Yeah, I think certainly there is a lot more potential. But as you rightly said, it is the priority of the organization which drives these things. People are aware the benefits of the AI technology, but the base has to be there. As we said, the database has to be there. The enough learning has to be there. The technology infrastructure has to be there. Legacy infrastructure should be easily be able to adapt to these changes. So those are the things which are there, which decides that, and also the overall organization priority, that which one we will go ahead first and which are the ones can be done later. So I think majorly it is driven by the prioritization that the organization have.
I mean, similar, Mohan, I don't know if you feel that, is it about organizations looking at what is the potential value or looking at what are the potential risks and then taking a call accordingly?
Yeah, so typically when organizations look at it, and probably I'll touch a little bit about, the journey of AI, right? So imagine it to be like a pyramid. The first area is where you try to improve the productivity side of it. Okay, simple productivity like where you try to use RPA in your processes, where you try to use your mails, which is getting automated. It goes through the co-pilot goes through your full email and generates email for you. So that is one part of it. But then there is an evolution of AI that typically happens. And this is where organizations have to be ready with your structures, etc. And I'll give you some of those examples. So we are a professional service organization, TMF. We are present all over the world, and what we do is we ensure compliances for multinational companies. For example, we manage compliances for countries present in 80 countries, and we ensure that they have just one service provider who takes care of all of their needs. So for us, what happens is we need to ensure that the client, who is a global client, get services across all 80 countries in different laws and regulations, and they are ticked in terms of those compliance. So one of the standard process that we are talking about, what we do with the practical experience, is that many a times bad news travels very slowly, be it customers or be it service providers. The only way you can check is either by a survey or doing a net promoter score and things of that sort. But that is too late. By the time the customer would have decided to move, etc. So what we developed as an AI product is, whenever an email transactions between the customer and our employee, these things are tagged based on words. Okay, each of the words are analyzed, and emojis are being put, either a happy emoji or a sad emoji or a neutral emoji. And it's been continuously being evaluated across the customers across the world, because we serve one brand across the world. And then we do a heat map. And then we really come to know that where is the actual problem arising based on those conversations, right? That will help us proactively identify the challenges and resolve it, right? Which otherwise would have been very difficult. And then we did an assessment of it. So we identified that our detractors, the net promoter score, is significantly reduced. It's just about 2%. So sometimes these things cannot be manually done, but AI do help you. So the first stage of it is productivity. Then the second stage of it is insights. And when you come to insights, the problem is that you have so many data points. Where do you trust this data points? That becomes one area that you need to check. Second, confidential information vis-a-vis non-confidential information. How is the AI picking up the confidential and sharing it to people that you're not supposed to? We don't know. So we need to really start thinking, how is the insight element being governed? So that is another governance area that people have to start thinking. And that's, again, structuring of your data, that all becomes very important. And the third is the business value, which we are talking about in terms of serving customers, doing things, etc. So that is at the top. So if you look at this pyramid, the risk is very low when you look at productivity, value is relatively fine. But as you go up the spectrum, the impact is, risk is higher, value is also higher. So that's how I would evaluate,
Picking up from Mohan Habs. And so in terms of customer engagement, customer service, again, something that you're very close to, I mean, have you adopted something around this, and any use cases that you'd like to share?
I'd like to add into the conversation on adoption itself. So from our experience also, we've seen that there is always this adoption hurdle when organizations are trying to adopt AI, and typically the way to address that is through a POC or a proof of concept. And our own experience has been it's a mixed bag. Like, not all POCs succeed, not because the technology failed, but because the objectives that we set for that POC were too vague. Like, again, it's our mistake also from a service provider point of view. We want to paint we can do all kind of approach that this POC can tick all the boxes. From the organization side also, there are multiple stakeholders from finance side or operation sides or project side looking at it from different lens. So once you reconvene after a couple of months of doing a POC, somehow you're not aligned. So what we're now insisting in some of our conversation is that, hey, let's nail down those one or two areas where you are going to be validating the AI and automation potential. Yes, more can follow through as you deploy, but let's be very clear, have a bird's eye view on those two and try and deliver it in the POC so that you can at least get 100% confidence on those two KPIs. So that has been sort of our approach. And from a consumer behavior perspective also, which is the other question, we have seen that though our primary interest is on the infrastructure, but it has become a good segue to also understand the consumer behavior. Like, for example, which stores are showing a higher ADS or sales, are they also more comfortable? Like, if you draw that linkage, you will also start to get some interesting facts that consumers not just prefer your product, but they also prefer the experience of having that product in a particular setting. And this is especially true when everybody now has multiple stores in the same area, hundreds of stores in the same city. So consumer doesn't worry about going few extra kilometers to another shop where he believes he will have a better experience compared to the one which is close by. So these are also dots we are trying to connect through some of our AI and IoT insights.
Sure, that's interesting. Rahul, you last mentioned about on the revenue side of it, but let's say on the cost optimization, cost saving side of it, again, any use cases that you can share with this group?
Sure. So automation has actually the capability wherein a lot of manual processes can be handled very well and efficiently by automation. So we can reduce the manual processes which are involved, and also it helps in improving the operational efficiencies, which actually results in reducing the costs overall. And it also helps to ensure that the resources which we have, we effectively use them in more strategic manner rather than doing more repetitive and manual processes. Like that is on the cost saving part. But I think the bigger element is improving in cost effectiveness every year, every time in each and every operation. Like as I mentioned, all our processes starting from demand forecasting to designing to supply chain, procurement planning, production planning, auto replenishment, it is all automated. And it has helped us actually in effective inventory management, which has led to generation of industry leading gross margin, which we have, with negligible debt stock, despite of no EOSS or discount at Maneuver. So this is because of the AI and automation which we have. So AI and automation is not about saving money or saving cost. It is also about improving efficiencies so that improve margins and profitability as well.
Indirectly saving money, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So sort of one point that Mohan had mentioned is about having the right people, the right skills who understand this and who can actually implement it.
Right.
How have you seen this panning out in the organization?
So I think, talent and skills, when we talk about it, I think we can put it in broad buckets. So one I think is when we talk about AI and ML, data scientists and analysts who are expert in machine learning and AI, right? Second bucket I would say is IT professionals who are able to integrate IT solutions with the existing softwares, existing systems, right? Third, I would say business analysts who are able to transform the financial needs in AI solutions, right? That is important. And fourth layer, I would say cyber security experts also. So to ensure that, cyber security experts are able to ensure that data protection is there and system integrity remains as it is. So I think I can put in these buckets. Yes.
Interesting. I mean, again, just picking up from his point, Jack, that this is one of the risks and the challenges that company face in terms of data privacy or getting the right results out of AI. I mean, where do you see some of these challenges of companies not effectively being able to adapt?
One of the main challenge I feel is talent. Contrary to what people think, I think it's a very big deficit in terms of talent. Overall, from what basically India is yet to get into. Keeping that aside, I feel automation is something that we have to always focus on. Getting the automation correct in all of the processes is something that helps us going forward. Apart from that, I think there's always going to be like leakages. It's about how to fine tune slowly over a period of time to ensure that you at least know what is going to come in the next 3 months, 6 months, forecasting, whatever. That's how I see it in terms of forecasting. In terms of processes, I feel your basic processes, especially in finance field, all of them can be automated, and most of them are automated now with good ERPs coming into the picture. Even good POS systems who have easy API integrations. I think these automations are there. It's about those early investments because they are a bit higher in terms of tech. getting them correct over a period of time, making sure that you have a infrastructure for a company planned, where you're not duplicating two technologies and giving you diverse results for no reason, right? So that's why I feel like having a proper plan, going slow, but ensuring what you're doing is correct, and having overall IT infrastructure is very important in this.
Maybe just a couple of last questions. So, Mohan, how do you see the finance function evolving with all of this happening? I mean, do you see a different world? Do you see, new things coming up based on what we've discussed?
Yeah, I see a lot of change. So the professionals of now will have to start thinking, what is the next need? Okay, now imagine yourself that you are dealing with algorithms now, right? And these algorithms are made by somebody, and we don't know what those algorithms are, where those connections are. And if that is thrown at us, we have no way but to believe it. And AI can put it in a nice fancy way that, again, truth is something that you logically assess it. So many a times CFOs gets confused, or finance may get confused, saying that, is this right or is this not? Because if I give two contradictory data with from different sources, but logical, you're confused. And one of the, somewhere I was reading, I think it was an IBM Business Value Report, they were saying that 76% of the CFOs are confused on which data to use when making decision making, right? So the change is going to be very different. So what is going to happen is, from a base level, more than preparation, it has to be review. Now reviews do happen in finance. Different people at different levels. Some at 10,000 feet level review, some detailed review, some just asking ho gaya kya, some, these sort of things, right? That will have to change. So now the AI will provide you with information. So now you have the shift will be towards from preparation to reviews. What the quality of your review, the analytical questions that you ask, the validations that you check would be much more different, which means that a finance professional should also understand a lot more about algorithms, a lot more about how these data points are connected, because that will help them to be really sure, because the regulator may also ask you sometimes, saying that, how do you validate this? So you need to know the logics behind it, right, of how that comes in. So that is the broad change that will happen. It's a big change. But then the preparations have to start from now on, and at least accept that that change is happening and start to think differently.
Okay, and probably just a final question, Rahul, Samir. How can AI actually help in regulatory reporting or compliances areas?
AI can actually play a very important role in terms of compliance monitoring. It helps in ensuring that all the regulatory compliance are properly complied with on a timely manner, and it also helps us to understand any new compliance which has come up, whether it is complied on a timely manner or not. So all that can be, AI and automation can help us in that, and ensure that we are not non-compliant and avoid penalties and all. Like a live example, we are using a compliance tool wherein all the compliances are mapped along with due dates, area-wise, location-wise, mapped to users, and all the compliance are mapped. So we get a prior intimation from the compliance tool. So first of all, it gives a database of all the compliance which are relevant for you at one place. A due date prior intimation is coming to all the users so that they can ensure that timely compliance is done. Secondly, what they do is that a database is available. So as a CFO or as a board, we have a ready-made dashboard available that what has been complied and what has not been complied at an organization level. And thirdly, any new change which happens in the regulatory requirement, it is instantly flashed in the tool, and we can ensure that it happens. Similarly, we are using PwC tool also, wherein for GST purpose, like it really helps a lot in efficiency, accuracy. We can, all the e-invoicing, e-way bill is all automated because of that tool. The GST mismatch reconciliation, filing of the returns, it really saves a lot of time with accuracy and efficiency, that tool. And there are a lot more tools available like direct tax, indirect tax, where you can keep a database of assessment year-wise of what communications have happened, and you can directly communicate with the tool and the authorities with the help of the tool. So AI and automation can really help a lot in terms of regulatory compliance.
right, Samir?
So let me pick the financial reporting, and the requirement has been now changing every year. You see new changes coming, new expectation which is required, and certainly the finance people has to validate those information. For example, now on the sustainability, there is a lot of reporting requirement on the energy side and various other parameters, which has to tie up again with the financial numbers, as well as you need to get to the granular level of units and everything. So I think AI technology will help us to validate those information, because then it can pick each invoices of, I'm just taking a simple example, each invoices of the electricity bill or the water bill or the gas bills that you have paid, what are the units in that, what is the actual charge which is there in the P&L. So a simple example that whatever you're going to report outside, which need to be validated humanly, very difficult to do, in fact impossible to do, AI will really help it to make it compliant.
Sure. Okay, so I mean, we had a lot more questions, but we have run out of time. And I think in summary, as we have heard today, it's that it's about that the potential is huge, but it's about prioritization. It's about AI actually going beyond just finance and helping all other functions in the organization, and including reporting or revenue and operations as well, right? So I think a lot of action is happening, but a lot more that can be done, and probably that is what holds in the future for us, right? So, so this is it.